Um, okay, so coming back to the era, there are rivers and there are fishes in the mix, and, there's quite a bit of information about fishes, right? And there are traders, there are merchants, there's a little bit of kings and royalty and the kind of belief system that they had back then. I really want to know, how did you connect all of them so beautifully?
Because I'm a story writer, so I'll know how to connect the dots, isn't it? So fine. See, when you are seeing, when I'm reading the history, the way I read is very different. Some small point starts haunting me. For example, the seed of this book came when I was reading the Sati system. Sati Sahagamana, what we call, right? Sati in English, they call it S-A-T-T, as Sati, I think. So in the Sati, they will jump into the fire after the husband has died. So they will jump into the fire. And the narrations of all the travelers who have written about the Vijayanagara period is, they say they go happily. They go with smiling face and they jump into the fire. I thought, what kind of brainwashing would have gone to the woman? It's so sad. If woman is going and jumping smilingly, means happily into the fire, means the system is bad at that time, definitely. The treatment of the woman should have been extremely bad, and we are brainwashed. It's like convincing someone to become a self-immolation, suicide bomber. It's same as that. Suicidal bombers go happily and burn themselves, right? So that's not good. It's the same thing what we are doing it here. So I felt, if I'm going to write a novel, this lady is going to run away from it. She should not jump into the sati. So then she is the real feminist for me. That's where it started, because during that time, I think Padmavat came, actually. So this Padmavat film, I was very disturbed with the mindset of the film, actually. So they are celebrating the sati in that film. They are portraying the sati as if it's something glorious act of Indians. No, I won't believe in it. It's a bad act, actually. We should feel shy about it. We had such bad systems in this thing. So I said, no, this is not the way to showcase sati. So I need to have a rebel who will oppose sati and then take over the story. So that's where the seed started for me. From there it started developing, where so many other things went. So such kind of things I'll have. So there is a travelogue by Domingo Paes. Domingo Paes visits during the Krishnadevaraya period. He is from Portuguese, okay? So from the Lisbon. So he's from Lisbon. So he keeps on writing various things he has observed and all. And during one place, I think Dharwad, when he visits Dharwad, he says, lot of saints are sitting in front of the temple, okay? Whenever a animal is killed as a offering to the god, he will play a horn. He will blow a horn. So to indicate to the god that a offering has been given to him, he says. And afterwards he says, I'll come back to him. I'll come back later in the book and I'll explain in detail about this sage, he says. But he never comes back. And all the historians are so unhappy with that. Why did you forget Domingo Paes? Why did you forget? They all have written, the historians' comments you can see, he cheated us. Domingo Paes forgot to tell about it. I said, I'm going to tell about what he is. So for Domingo Paes might have forgotten, but I'm here, the storyteller. I can tell about it. So I can imagine and I can tell. So that became a character for me. So I keep on looking for such characters all over the thing. But what surprised me is like the Jewish community of Lisbon. That became an interesting subject for me. They have undergone so much of torture because Vasco da Gama invented India. See, we are only study about impact of Portuguese on the Indian social life in our history to some extent. But what about the impact of India on social life of Lisbon, the Portuguese? No, we have never thought. We have not traveled there, but our spices were going there, right? That had a great social impact. So I wanted to touch those topics. So those topic, so Jews came into picture actually. So I have never met a Jew till now. So recently only I met someone who is a Jew. So, and I explained him. So he was so fascinated. So you wrote about Jews, that I'm interested to read his side. So that's how the things are.
Thank you for bringing up the topic of sati and, quite a sensitive topic, I must say. In fact, I was getting to it. It's quite touchy. Your focal point in this book has been to expose all these systems and, the cruelty that had been bestowed upon women or lower castes or, all of this. You should all read the book to actually understand what I'm trying to say. But with this expose in your narration, did you feel or did you observe any change after that, and how was it taken? We all know that you got quite a bit of feedback, negative, positive, all kinds of things on all kinds of topics that you have touched in the book. This particular system, and you're attacking the so-called hardbound Indian caste system and belief system, and how did you observe any change after the book came out?
No, I think it's very well received, I should say. I'm so lucky. The right wing accepted the book. All the right wing people, so I have a lot of readers from the right wing also. So they were very happy with the book. And the left wing, the communists actually, so the communists, they are very good readers, right? They were very happy with the book, the way I have dealt with the subject. So I have received appreciation from all over. Only couple of them had some problems with the caste and other things. No, I that's okay. See, it's like, Lifebuoy soap advertisement you have seen, right? So after he shows like Lifebuoy cleans it kills all the germs, but still he shows one germ which is still there. That is required, Drushti Bhattu. So it's like you need to have that one. If someone criticizes, receive it in a proper way. You welcome that. Provided it makes sense, you accept it. If it doesn't, you reject it. But once a book is written, I don't have to justify anything. My book itself will justify whatever it is required. I'm not going to speak or I'm not going to defend the viewer's feedback. I'll never do that. Yeah.
So Vasudhendra, when we talk about history or historical or, that era, when we write stories about it, it's usually about the battles, the glory, and, the kind of kings and queens that we had. But here you made sure you touched the lives of the common people and, their lifestyle, and be it trading or be it love or be it family or be it one particular guy who belonged to a group where he would kill himself, or one from the group would kill himself every time the king had an offspring in his family. And these are, quite complex, and this is all very well spun around. What made you stick to the common lifestyle here?
See, for me, history means the common man life. History is not about kings and queens. If you are talking about only kings and queens, it's a political history. It is not a real history. I was if I'm going to write about Krishna Devaraya's novel based on Krishna Devaraya or Adil Shah or the King Manual or Vasco da Gama, something like that, it's like writing novel about a celebrity of current time, about the Prime Minister, about the Chief Minister, about a film star. I'm not interested in that. I'm a fiction writer. I always focus on common man struggles. Okay, so that clarity was there for me. So I wanted to see, we all study in the history books what all the historical events happened, right? Vasco da Gama came, we have. But what is that impact it's going to have on the common man? If Vasco da Gama is coming, means it has so much of impact on various, both India as well as the Lisbon. There is an impact. Study that impact. What is that? It changed them. And see, when with Krishna Devaraya it comes, we all celebrate that he won every war. especially the South Indians, we are all very proud that he won so many wars. He goes to Varissa, from Hospet to he goes to all the way to Udayagiri, that Kalinga. Kalinga is Varissa. Unbelievable. With almost like 10 lakh soldiers. How did he go? God only knows. Like, how did he manage to go all the way down? And he wins the war as well. And we are all very proud of it. But if a king is involved in wars every day, okay, entire almost 10 years he has only done wars, what will be the life of a common man? You assume that today India will have fight with Pakistan, tomorrow with China, another day with Sri Lanka, another day with Bangladesh, all neighbors, you start fighting with them. What will be our life? It will be miserable. So I said, like, I need to look into it, what has happened there. The common man life, because of the wars, what all the problems he faced. How many families lost their bread earner? So that was my focus actually. So that's how I have this thing. See, what is the thing is, there were a lot of good things. Okay? So it's not only just the bad customs, there were so many good things. See, it was so tolerant society. Very clearly, Abdul Razak writes, any person of any faith, means he may belong to any religion, can come and live in Vijayanagara without any problem. The king supports him. You can be Muslim, you can be Christian, you can be any other religion. That time Parsi was also there to some extent. So you can come and stay in India, and king supports you, and he will not interfere with any of your religious practices. So beautiful. They were much tolerant than us, I feel actually. So in one way. So in fact, it goes to such an extent, maybe I should tell this, when these South Indian kings always had a feeling that since they don't eat beef, so their warriors are weaker compared to Bahmani. Bahmani is the other side. Right? After Krishna, if you pass, it's a Bahmani Sultan. They are all Muslim fighters actually. So their warriors are weaker because they don't eat beef, is what the belief most of them had. All the Vijayanagara kings had. So that's why they were recruiting other Muslim soldiers, means from the Persia, from Arab, and other parts of the world. So wherever the Muslim community is there, they used to pay them a very huge salary, and they used to recruit them in their as their soldier. Okay, so now doing that, when they come, they want to follow their practices. Okay, so they say our custom is, as soon as you go to the king's court, you're supposed to bow down to the king. So they say, no, you are a Hindu, so we'll not bow down to you. That's what they say to the Praudadevaraya. Okay, we can't. So that is not our practice. We can only bow down to a king who is from the Hindu religion, means Musalman. The other one we will not do. The salute type we won't do. So what he does is, Praudadevaraya does is, he keeps a Quran next to him. And he says, you don't do salute to me, you salute to your Quran. That's okay. So that's the greatness of Praudadevaraya during the Vijayanagara period. And everyone, almost every king, not only the Vijayanagara, before that, Hoysala kings also had a huge battalion of Muslim soldiers. So it's a very tolerant society as far as the religion tolerance. The tolerance was not there in Europe. It might be very interesting. It was reversed there. Absolutely, they were not tolerant of Muslims. They were not tolerant of Jews. And Muslims were not tolerant of the other religions in their Middle East belt. Those details you will get. But India, at the whole of South India, especially the Vijayanagara period, they were highly tolerant of all the religions. So I have narrated that as well. Okay, so because I have touched every religion without any prejudice, I have touched all the religion aspects. That's why people have liked it. If I had gone with any prejudice, then there would have been a problem.
Absolutely. I again tell you all, please read the books to completely understand what we are sitting and discussing here. Now here, Vasudhendra, we are talking about your narration, your storytelling, and your book. But you must agree with me when I say that, Kannada literature is flourishing, and kind of content that Kannada literature has, it's huge, it's fantastic. What do you think of this? Where are we heading? What are the kind of authors who are there, and who you must have interacted with a lot of people, and there are other storytellers and writers. So what do you think of this whole industry here?
See, what happens is one language becomes very popular at a one particular period of time. Sometime it was Sanskrit. Sometime in India it was Telugu. Surprisingly, Telugu was very popular once upon a time. Sometime maybe in future we don't know if the Mandarin comes into picture. So one of the language becomes the more popular and more communicating language for all the common man. So now it is English. That's all. It might change. But now it's English. But what we have to really do is take our books to English readers. We are not doing that very well. Because there are some reasons for that. If you look at Kerala and West Bengal, they have taken their novels quite a lot, extensively, to English, and they are successful as well. And Kannada is not behind at all. It's extremely good literature. As far as the literature is concerned, fiction is concerned, I think it's one of world classics have been written in Kannada. But the problem is we don't have a good translator. Or even if there is a very good translator, we are not in a position to pay them sufficient enough to translate a work. So most of them are doing with passion, right? So now, but whereas in Kerala, there is a lot of Christian community. Kerala. So they have a good hold on English, and they were able to translate it very easily. If you come to West Bengal, because Britishers were there at the West Bengal, they also have got a strong hold on English, and they have done their justice. But that's not the case with Karnataka. Right? So that's why it is going very slow. But we have to plan, means including the government, we have to plan in such a way that our classics are translated in a nice way and published with a very good publisher. If you publish locally, no one reads because you don't have a distributing system. So you have to go to international level publishers and you have to publish your books. Then only they get recognized. Otherwise, they will not get recognized. And also, someone who translates to your book to English, there's no problem if he doesn't know Kannada much, but he should know English very well. The destination language, what we call, you should know it very well so that you can write it like a contemporary language, not a British era language, So like contemporary English you need to use, so then it will reach. I think it's starting. The Gachar Gochar was the beginning. It was fantastically received across the world. So afterwards, Jayant Kakini book got received. My Mohan Swami got received well. So we hope things will come in much bigger way down the line. And regional languages are much rich in details and nativity and the culture. They are much superior because in most of the English fiction, if you read, they are from the urban upper class convent educated kids. Of course they also have their own experiences, but they don't cover a cultural angle in rich details. They haven't experienced it. So only the regional vernacular, I should not call it regional, so vernacular authors only can fulfill that need. So there is a need for that translation as well. Yeah. And also I feel like it's an injustice. Like if a English author writes one book and it becomes a hit, he becomes world famous. Like everywhere people will start talking about him or her. And people here are writing from 30 years, 40 years, beautiful literature they are given. Nobody knows their name. If you go and speak to West Bengal or the Punjab and all, say, have you read anything about Kuempu? They will ask, who is Kuempu? They have not heard. It's so unfortunate. A person who is who can be easily, who could have got easily a Nobel prize for his literature, nobody even knows within India only. It's so unfortunate, right? That's because we lack the translation. So, believe it or not, all these vernacular languages have become islands. The only way to connect all these islands is through British Bridge or English Bridge. So you have to get it translated to English even to reach your own neighbor, a Bengali. Okay, and not only that, the translation has got another advantage. Many of our younger generations are not able to read Kannada. They know English, so at least they have to read our stories, right? So it's very important for them. If you can read Harry Potter, but after some time you feel like, no, I want to read my own forefather's story. So then what are you going to do? So they have to be translated at least for our own sake, to retaining. Yeah. So very important. Translation is extremely important and we need to give highest importance for it.